and welcome to this webinar around leadership strategies for teams in change. We are here today from Assessio and will take you through this topic. My name is Emma.
And my name is Marina.
And we will talk about how individuals react to change and how that affects our team or the team around them, but more so also around leadership and what I as a leader can do and what I should not do in leading change. As I said, my name is Emma and I'm HR director at Assessio Group, working with these topics or issues or challenges today more within our own organization on our growth journey.
And I'm a licensed psychologist and an organizational consultant here at Assessio. And I've worked a lot with both team development, but also coaching leaders.
Yeah. So before we get going, we just want to share our vision and who we are as a brand in the market. Assessio exists because of the fact that we still see the talent is wasted in the labor market. So we have a vision of zero talent waste. And that means that we help clients implementing unbiased processes for recruitment, development, and also for leadership performance. So today we are a SaaS company with a platform that we implement and help organizations to do this. We've been around for almost 70 years now, so it's a long time.
Yeah.
And today we're going to talk about change management and how we lead change as leaders and how we react to change. And to say that change is constant is not to exaggerate anything at all. Now also with AI coming in, we can see that change is actually constant today. And how does that affect individuals and organizations? We see that stress increases among employees today. We had a statement in here that says that 80% of risk professionals predict that burnout will have a significant impact on employees in 2024. We also see that change at work is linked to employees' stress and distrust and also the intent to quit. And we know that the fact to adapt to change and to manage change is a competitive advantage, mainly as an organization, but that comes down to leadership and individual performance. So we thought we should start with how do we actually react to change and how do individuals react to change?
Yeah. And the thing is that when we humans are faced with changes, something that is new for us, whether it's a personal change or an organizational change, it can elicit a range of different emotions like shock, anger, sadness, or maybe frustration. And this is a very natural response since our brains tend to react to these things with a fight or flight instinct. It's something new, we have to readjust and accept it until we can land in the new circumstances. And it's very common that we initially resist the change. And the reason is because of basic psychological but also practical factors that I have tried to summarize here. And the first one is about competence and resources. If we doubt our ability to adapt, we may be resistant to the change and asking, do we have the skills we need? Do we have enough resources? And that sort of things. The second one is about influence and power. So when new systems and rules come into play, people might feel like they're losing control. And this is something that causes stress and uneasiness in humans. We naturally prefer to stick to what is known instead of what is unknown. Because when we do, we lose the predictability and safety and might wonder, okay, but what does this mean? How will it affect me in the future? And so on. And the last one is about culture and habit. It might be that the change doesn't fit how things usually are done, or maybe my personal beliefs or preferences. And when it comes to habit, we have something called the autopilot. And that is that we tend to do things without thinking. If we, for example, drive a car, we might drive for half an hour and we haven't registered anything. And that is our brain trying to save us energy with very regular, everyday tasks. So when we change our routines, it feels hard because it takes more energy from us.
So would you say that all individuals react to change the same way?
No, of course, there are individual differences, and that is mainly because of personality. Some of us are more open to change, some are more wanting to stick to what is known, and that they might perceive the change as a threat. It could also be, as I mentioned before, about values and beliefs. I don't agree with this or whatever. And also previous experiences. If I've had a negative experience with a change before, it might make me a bit hesitant or skeptical to a new change as well.
So there are a lot of things to think about.
Yeah.
And I know I've read somewhere that due to how hard it actually is to manage change, I've read somewhere that as much as 70% of change processes actually fail. And yeah, that is horrible, I'd say. we should know better today. But if we look at the 30% that actually do succeed, we've looked into that together and see what do they have in common.
Yes. And so we've recognized 4 principles for all changes that succeeds. And this is pretty common for a lot of different change management models. But these are like basic principles. And the first thing is about how do we motivate people to change their behavior. And the number one factor that motivates humans to change is if we're hunted by something, it's dangerous to stay where we are, or the road ahead is dangerous. And this is because of our survival instinct, of course. And so this is why number one step is about increasing the sense of urgency within employees. We have to highlight why is a change not only necessary, but also urgent.
Yeah. So it could be we have a new competitor or something actually threatening us as a organization.
Exactly.
That we have to change.
But of course, it's also about communicating why is it better to do it the new way. And that is why the second step is about creating a future vision that is appealing. Because a compelling vision, of course, creates or makes the employees feel more inspired and motivated towards that vision.
Yeah, and I just from my personal experience would say it is also as an employee, the vision is also it's much nicer to work towards something that is appealing than maybe fly away. Flight from something.
Exactly. So like the first step is more, it's something that spurs more immediate action. But we like to work towards something appealing as well.
So that's more for long term.
Yes. And that is a basic approach in behavioral change to see, okay, what are the benefits long term? So like we have to see that there are positive long term consequences for us to change.
So that's one thing, 2 things that we have to do as leaders for the long term. Then we have some short-term actions too.
Exactly. And so the third step is called easy doing right. And that means recognizing that change is hard. So here and now, even though we see the future vision, here and now it might feel like an uphill battle. And so it's crucial to make the new approach easier for everyone, like providing the right tools, knowledge, and support, removing obstacles, and making incentives for them to continue doing the new behavior.
Very specific, sounds like.
Yes. And we as humans are very motivated by short-term consequences. And so if something feels good right away, we continue doing it. If it feels bad, we tend to stop. But so even if we're motivated to change, we get rewards for the new behavior. There's still a big threat to change. And that leads us to the fourth step. And it's called being stuck is tough. We have a strong tendency to want to revert back to what is familiar and comfortable. And this is because of the autopilot that I mentioned before. And so we must work with turning this off. And that is done by making it more uncomfortable here and now to continue on the old path. So like making more uncomfortable short-term consequences with continuing with the old behavior.
I'm just thinking of what they can be in practice, but again, if we change, it's also about not only stating what we need to do, but also make sure maybe that we have systems that support the new behavior. We have templates or other things that can support, so it's easy to do right. And
exactly,
it takes me a lot of energy to do the wrong or the old behavior.
Yeah, exactly. So doing the old behavior, it could be that you get something you don't want, so to say, like constructive feedback. This is not how we do things anymore. Or maybe that you take away something that the person wants. Maybe if you have a bonus system, by doing the new behavior, you get a bonus, and by doing the old, you don't get the same reward.
So I've heard that it's much better to work with the positive, like number 3 here, to make it easier to do right.
Yes. And that is why 80% of the time should be in easy doing right. We have to see that new changes or trying to change behavior is hard. It's about creating new pathways towards success, and that takes time. So a leader should really put effort in making it as easy as possible, making them see that, okay, but this is what I have to do. I understand what is required of me. And removing obstacles for them to continue doing that new behavior. It's also it's also something that creates more psychological safety. Like everyone keeps moving and keeps them moving forward in this step.
So regardless of where in these 4 methods or principles that you use, I guess you have to use, or you do have to use all of them. But one key behavior as a leader is also communication.
Yes.
To keep on communicating and being, and I know from that you often feel like that you're repeating yourself too much, or you say the same thing over and over again, and you get tired of yourself.
Yeah, but I can imagine. But the thing is, you can never be clear enough as a leader. When you think that you've repeated enough, been clear enough, continue. Because leading in change is also about repetition a lot. Because people will be moving back and forth in motivation. So, and back and forth between the steps that I showed previously. So you might have to sometimes go back, repeat the vision or sense of urgency, and then communicate, okay, what are the incentives here now? And
it's quite tricky to balance these 4. But also as a leader, you have a team level that you work with, and then you also have individual levels. So sometimes you can feel like, I know I have the majority of my team with me, or I can feel that we are moving forward. But you also tend to find individuals maybe that are more, as you said before, cautious to change, or maybe need more support before. How should you react to those individuals?
Yeah. That is a really good question. And it's important to see that you might need to give extra support to those individuals who are struggling. And by having regular one-on-ones, it's easier to pick up if a pick up signals. If a person is struggling or having difficulties with performing at work, and to help them in this. And the main step, or the first step, is of course active listening, validation. It's about making them feel heard and making sure you understand, okay, what is causing the concern, the stress, the frustration. As a leader, especially if you're very empathic, it's easy to get stuck here.
Yeah.
But it's a delicate balance between being empathic, supportive, and also ensuring that the employee move forward or towards expected behaviors that they need to do in their role. And so that is why the next step is about, okay, repeat or talk about why do they need to change. Always start with the motivation, making sure they see, okay, why do I need to do in a different way? It could be, for example, repeating step 1 and 2, future vision, sense of urgency, or it could be another goal, but still, why do I need to do this? And also, how do they change? And here it's important to be very concrete. And breaking it down into small steps, because that will lower the threshold for the person to do a different way, because that, of course, causes resistance, as we know.
So I guess it can be as specific as what should I do, maybe not every day, but at least on weekly targets or weekly basis.
Like, exactly.
What are the new behaviors?
Yeah, so you can have sub goals like, what should I do this week or that day? So break it down in small steps. And of course, follow up and continue reinforcing the wanted behavior. And of course, if the person is feeling really stressed, continue, you notice there's no change, you might need to how do you say, include occupational health care, that sort of thing. But the main thing is to see, how can I as a leader make it easy for the person to do the right thing? Can I support in that way?
Yeah, and I guess sometimes you also feel to tend to believe that how specific do I actually have to be, or but to work through that together with the employee can then help them to easier find the change in them.
So you find the balance.
Yeah. So we've summarized this in 3 takeaways. And I guess the first one is
expect resistance. It's very human. It's a natural response to something new. So don't expect anything else.
Yeah. And then make it clear and easy to do the right thing. As we just said, break it down in weekly behaviors. And then use your regular one-to-ones. Make sure that you work both on team level with the whole team, but also on the individual level, so you can find these individual challenges and enablers.
Yeah. And of course, don't forget to celebrate small wins along the way.
Yeah, that was what we was thinking that we should talk to you about. So thank you.
Thank you very much.